Welcome back to Bloomberg News. I love this lead, Lori. Raise your hand if you saw the global financial crisis coming. We thought so. There may be only a handful of economists and investors out there who predicted the meltdown, but there's one very special woman who asked a very simple question last year. Why did so many economists miss it? That woman, the Queen of England, and the answers she has received? Bloomberg columnist Matthew Lynn has been tallying the results, and he joins us from London. Matthew, good afternoon. What did you learn?
Well, it's been a kind of an interesting debate. I mean, as you said in your intro, about 6 months ago, the Queen was on an official visit to the London School of Economics, which is, you know, pretty prestigious school here in London, and she asked a very simple question: how come the economics profession didn't see the credit crunch coming? And the professors, I think, were a little bit embarrassed to be put on the spot like that, and they didn't have a very good answer because, of course, I mean, although one or two voices were out there warning that there are a few troubles on the horizon, I think it's fair to say that generally we didn't get much warning of it. It took pretty much everyone by surprise. And it wasn't if they could point to any other universities. You couldn't say, oh, well, those guys over at Oxford understood it, or the people at Harvard or Yale or Princeton. You go and ask them. They'll be able to tell you all about it, just not us. But I mean, the truth is, no one could really answer this question. So they put together a panel under the aegis of the British Academy, and they put together a letter. Fairly distinguished economists got together, and they tried to explain it to the Queen. And since then, a couple more people have jumped on the bandwagon, and there's now a few letters going into Buckingham Palace trying to explain it to Her Majesty.
But Matthew, the interesting thing here, it was a simple question, but it seems like it was brilliant in its simplicity. It was a question that a lot of people around the world have asked, and as you had mentioned to us during the break, if the Queen asked a question, she's probably going to get an answer.
Yeah, that's what I thought was so kind of interesting about the story, because I think as you say, we've all been asking that question. Probably everyone in the world, certainly anyone who's not a professional economist, been sort of throwing their hands up in the air and saying, well, how come all these people didn't warn us anything about this? But so the Queen identified the problem, and because she's Queen, I guess the privilege of being Queen is you're much more likely to get an answer than just you or I are. So it's to the credit of the academics that they put together these panels, and they're starting to try and investigate and answer the question. But I think it does, it kind of throws up a more interesting issue, which, as I was exploring a little bit in the column I did for Bloomberg today, which was, the credit crunch is a failure of many things. But one of the things we haven't really talked about, hasn't got into the general discussion very much, is it's partly a failure of economics to do two things. One is to be, accurately predictive, to actually tell us a little bit, give us warning of problems coming up in the future, but also just to kind of explain the world around us in a way that makes sense to ordinary people. And the Queen's a kind of proxy for that. She's a well-informed, intelligent woman. I mean, she's met a lot of leaders over the years, going back all the way to Winston Churchill, I guess, so she's a bit more informed than most of us, but just a kind of average, non-specialist person. And economics at the moment just isn't able to come up with theories that can say to somebody like that, this is how it works, this is where it's gone wrong, this is where it's going forward.
Short answer, Matthew, as we're running out of time a little bit here. Is the Queen satisfied with the response to those letters she's receiving?
Well, she hasn't replied yet, and I'm not sure she'll make it. I'm sure she's replied very politely, because she's always very polite with a no, but she hasn't yet gone public saying, that's the letter, now I get it, you can stop writing to me, guys.
Bloomberg.
Once she does, we'll let you know. Then we'll have the real definitive answer to what caused the credit crunch.
All
with the
right,
Queen's
we'll check
finances.
back within you on that. Thanks. Matthew Lynn, live in London. Quick reminder, Matthew's views and opinions are his own, not necessarily those of Bloomberg News.